he said, well, the next time, and the next time, and the next time, the next time, and the next time, and the next time. And finally, Russia came in and ended it. And it got Russia right back into the Middle East. Thank you, Obama, who always was working almost, it seemed like, deliberately against the best interest of the United States. Now we're being attacked by Iran. We're being attacked by what are called Iranian proxies, but they're not Iranian. They're Iranian by Iranian forces. Some of them were directly trained by Soleimani. The attacks are largely coming out of Syria, Lebanon, and the Houthis from Yemen. And this is sort of not a particularly visually helpful map, but it will show you the sites that have been hit: the Al Tanf garrison, Ain al-Assad air base, the Baghdad Diplomatic Support Center, the Mission Support Site Green Village, Al Harir Air Base, Al Shaddadi Base, and the Mission Support Site in Euphrates. See, they're pretty much all surrounding. If you can see that, you'll see where the hits were. So this amounted to 37 attacks before, starting on the 17th of October and getting to October 26th. On October 26th, we hit back twice in Syria. Hit anything. We hit an ammunition depot, two of them. None of them had people in it. And one of them had no ammunition in it. Almost would have been better not to hit back because it didn't deter them. They have hit us 6 times since then with no answer, despite the fact that what's his name, Baby Sullivan, has promised that we're going to do something. I guess they're working on it. They're probably looking for the empty field that Clinton hit after the USS Cole was bombed, so they can really maybe encourage him to do a major hit on us. But here's the scorecard if you want to know it. I mean, this is very telling to anyone who wants to gauge Biden's willingness to defend his people. 37 attacks in half a month. Honestly, less than about 2.5 weeks. 37 attacks on U.S. forces in those places that I told you before and up to the 17th. On the 17th, we hit back in 2 places in Syria, pinprick attacks, no human casualties, no wounds, no human beings within miles, and 2 ammunition depots, one of which had ammunition and the other of which didn't. So we didn't even get ammunition on the second one. And then, of course, we were going to respond to any further attacks. This was supposed to stop them. Well, you know, of course, that that's not true. Only extremely silly Democrat liberals believe that. And they've hit us 6 more times since then. It's a very, very uneven balance here among the Iranians and the among the Syrians that were hit by us. Nobody was injured. We had 27 injured, and among the ones that we hit, nobody was killed. Of course, we've had 1. So now all the casualty and all of the physical human suffering is on our side, and we did damage to one. We did damage to ammunition in one place, and just a building. This is beyond being pathetic, sad, cowardly. It just invites more and more and more attacks. And sending 300 or 3,000 more soldiers there isn't going to stop it. What's going to stop it is if he becomes a man and hits back in a way that says to them, it isn't worth it. It's got to make it not worth it to them. take out something important. How about one of the nuclear places? Huh? One of the sites? How about all of them? How about the Ayatollah? He's killed. Maybe we have a regime change there. We seem to like regime changes in governments that weren't nearly as bad as Iran. But somehow we protect Iran. Well, Israel really has made great strides in their very much curtailed attack, curtailed by Biden, who is trying to help Iran and actually Hamas as much as he can by slowing down Israel. But yesterday and today, they got right into the center of Gaza. They went to the Jabalia, the Jabalia Center, support center, headquarters, and bombed it to smithereens. Now that will be listed on other people's description of it as the Jabalia Refugee Center. I say it's a military support because we're at war. And in that center was the commander of the Hamas forces in northern Gaza, one of the main commanders of the barbaric attack of October 7. His loyal and most trusted murderers, unbelievable amount of electronic equipment that allowed them to trace all the tunnels in Gaza, connections to many of the tunnels that are unknown, and key personnel, all hiding because then if we bombed it, they could say we killed refugees. Well, I would say it's quite obvious they killed the refugees because we began warning them 2 weeks ago to go to the south. Now, here's a map of that portion of Gaza and Israel. This is what the Israelis accomplished by midday today. If you look up north here, you'll see they pretty much surrounded the major fortifications up in the north that guard that entrance, which is now hopefully like the United States southern border, totally unguarded and unprotected, which means Israel can move in anything it wants. It's moved down into Jabalia, which is the site of the military support center, and that was demolished. Of course, it raised a great deal of concern because it's described as a refugee center, but in fact, it is the headquarters for many of the Hamas. The commander who led the October 7 brigade, apparently he's been reported as dead. And not just a good deal of his top staff was taken out in the strike. Ibrahim Biari was killed. He was the Hamas commander of that barracks, the Hamas commander of northern Gaza, which is the most fortified part of Gaza, the most militarized. And a large number of terrorists were taken out with Biari. He headed the forces in northern Gaza, and he played a lead role in commanding the forces on October 7. He also planned a 2004 terrorist attack in which 13 Israelis were killed. So he's got tremendous amount of blood on his hands. He tried to protect himself so he can continue to do more killing by being in with a group of hostages who were all asked to leave. We don't know who those hostages were. We don't know if they really, you don't know anything about anything that Hamas says because they lie completely. But they killed 50 to 100 of the top terrorist operatives. And I would say that was a big leadership in a military force that isn't the very best anyway. Remember, their numbers in terms of rocket launchings are absurd. They have shot off 8,500 rockets from Hamas. They've killed Israelis. You ever figure out how many rockets they have to shoot off to kill one Israeli? And what I'd like to figure out is, have they killed more Palestinians with those rockets than Israelis? Because they misfire 20 to 25% of the time. Gosh, I mean, you probably had more than 13 killed in that hospital, right? We got to see what the let's go back, Ted, when you get a chance, and see what the death toll was at the hospital, the Gaza hospital, which was done by Hamas's allies. So they've killed 13 Israelis with 8,500 rockets. They've also killed Palestinians with those rockets. Let's see who's ahead in that fight. This was a major campaign, quickly brought to victory. It's one of their major strongholds. Jabalia is. It's the main tunnel. That's the hot spot for the main tunnel. And then, in addition, to make sure that they secured the whole area around Jabalia, the Givati Brigade took over Hamas on the western side of Jabalia. So what they're really doing is they're cutting off Gaza City from the south and from the north. So this is all north, right, directly north of Gaza City. Yesterday, they also had forged a separation in the road that leads from the north, the northern border of Gaza to the southern border. So they've cut that in half and probably have gone further in stretching that at this point, and therefore have made it difficult for them to communicate and for them to help each other. And that was really necessary because of the nature of the way in which Biden tied their hands. And they couldn't do an all-out raid at once. So what they have to do is to try to keep other Palestinian forces who are not being engaged to come and be engaged with the IDF. And I think they're doing a brilliant job of it. But that statistic about 13 people killed by 8,500 rockets is astounding. It's astounding. I don't know how much credit you give to Iron Dome, credit you give to systems of protection in Israel, or how much you give to these people being basic idiots. When 25% of your rockets misfire, the question is, should you be firing them? Particularly if you kill more of your own people. That is not the object. The object of a war is not to kill your own people more than you kill the enemy. Also, within that campaign with the Givati Brigade in Jabalia, I do believe their first two casualties, the first two Israelis Defense Forces casualties. And there they killed over 50 terrorists. Killed over 50 terrorists as of middle of the day. So you understand what this did is it took out rocket firing positions that had been used to shoot rockets into Israel. It took out the main tunnels, the headquarters for the main tunnels, the main focus of the main tunnels. It gave Israel access really tunnels. They were able to take a massive amount of weapons out. I don't know how many. And the Israelis now control the complex. It's theirs to use it to control the battle and the rest of the battle that goes on. So what was going to be their control center has now been taken by the Israelis. That's a very, very, that's a big strategic advantage. But here's where I have those statistics. Since the war began, it has fired more than 8,500 rockets at Israeli population. According to Israeli officials, rockets fired from Gaza have killed 13 people in Israel. 8,500, 13. Don't know if that's cost effective. Might not be cost effective in terms of your own population. Dead.
I think it's what a disgusting statistic.
So now we're going to take a short break, and we will be right back. The Tunnel to Towers Foundation delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices America's greatest heroes have made for us. Heroes who risked their lives to keep our communities and our country safe. Heroes like United States Marine Corps Captain and pilot John Jeremy Sachs. Captain Sachs sustained fatal injuries when his military aircraft crashed during training, killing him and 5 other service members. He's remembered by loved ones as courageous, brilliant, and devoted to his career, family, and friends. John is survived by his wife, Amber, who gave birth to their second daughter 3 months after his death. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on the family home for Amber and their 2 daughters. The foundation has helped over 1,000 military and first responder families navigate the worst of times by removing the burden of a mortgage payment. Our nation's heroes and their families need your help now more than ever. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. T2T.org. That's T, the number 2T.org. T2T.org. Please donate now. Welcome back to
America's
Mayor Live from Palm Beach, right next to Mar-a-Lago, which is the reason for the time. The Israel-Ukraine package is going to be the source of great debate between the Republicans and the Democrats. And let's see how you feel about it, because let's start a little discussion of it. So my first objection to it is the absolutely astounding disproportion between the amount of money they're giving to Ukraine, the amount of money. It's $14 million to Israel, $60 billion, right? $60 billion to Ukraine, which has received over $100 billion already. And so isn't it this really just Israel leveraging him, giving more money to his favorites, where he made a lot of money? He doesn't seem to like Israel very much. I mean, he can pretend all he wants, but you don't in dollars to a country that wants to destroy Israel if you love Israel very much, right? I didn't see him sending $6 billion to a country that wants to destroy Ukraine, did you? Well, I didn't see Obama sending them hundreds of thousands in cash. They've been supporting Iran. They did everything they could to make up for the great damage done by the Trump sanctions that had Iran really at the point of possible overthrow. You had demonstrations in the street calling for the overthrow of the Ayatollah. You had American flags. You had pictures of Reagan and Trump. You had all the makings of, maybe not immediately, but the building up of the kind of thing that overthrows a dictator. You don't have any of that in Palestine. You don't have any demonstrations against Hamas. You just comfort with the vast and unbelievable loss of civil rights and human rights. Remember how women are treated there. Remember how gays and lesbians are treated there. That amazes me to see the gay and lesbian groups supporting Hamas, who, if they entered the Hamas army, they'd probably get killed. The lack of education is maybe a contributing factor. I'm not going to say it's the main reason. So, what do you think, Ted, of the package? So it's going out of the House as a single item for Israel, 14 or 15 billion, right?
Right.
And then it's going to go to the Senate. So what you work there? Tell us what happens, because Schumer and McConnell are Republican. A Republican leader,
Yes.
agrees with Schumer.
McConnell, of course.
Schumer, who is Jewish, thinks that Ukraine should be given
Now the speaker, our new
4 times more than Israel.
Now, our new speaker, of course, has indicated that he'd like to see the two separated.
Has he done that already?
He's called for it. Now, I don't know the mechanism. I'll try to get an update on whether or not that's actually been done.
And would he get it through? Remember, he's only got 4-vote margin. He's got to get every Republican. Every Republican he loses, he's got to pick up a Democrat. Now, I don't see Democrats voting for it that way, because it puts too many of their colleagues on the spot. And they're great at avoiding being on the spot.
So they are. New speaker Mike Johnson has indicated that a fresh Ukraine package is coming out of the House and will be sent to the Senate. But lawmakers are wrapping up a $14.5 billion Israeli aid package, and that's heading for passage later this week. So, of course, he's
Schumer has pretty much indicated it's dead in the Senate, which means he would actually vote down. But I mean, they would actually vote down money for Israel.
Do you see that happen? There's no way, right? Well, you would say there's no way. Huh.
I don't think there's no way, but gosh almighty, Ted, it's so crazy.
You never thought you'd be saying this.
I mean, I think that there are big issues, big differences, and they should be dealt with differently. First of all, Ukraine has already gotten a tremendous amount of our money, over $100 billion. And this is now all in one shot. We're going to give them 60% again. That's a big amount of money to give them.
Yeah.
We know that Biden puts no controls on the money. Help but think that the most corrupt or second most corrupt country in the world is not directing every single penny of it to fighting the war, but that some of the avaricious oligarchs there, many of whom are Biden's friends, are grabbing big chunks of it with overpriced whatever they can sell, or just getting it. And therefore, it would be safer if it were done on a periodic basis where it's for specific things and we know what it's for. Also, since they haven't had the success in the war that they say they would have, we don't know if it's because they don't have the right weapons, they don't have the right support, or they don't have an effective enough army. All of those are possible. All three may be possible. Those all, if you want to really help them, unless you want to just pump over 60 million and guess at how much goes to the field and how much goes to the oligarchs. I think the oligarchs are not going to let this pass by without getting their fair share. That's for sure. So I hope and I pray that it does become a one-item issue, so the money can and going to Israel, which is just getting started and needs it. And then we figure out what's going on in Ukraine and then figure out what the right level of funding would be. Because we certainly want to help them, but we don't want to help them become like Biden did when he went there, even more corrupt. You know, Biden was there to solve corruption in Ukraine because he added to it. He committed maybe one of the worst, bribing the president of Colombia. Now, maybe that's been done before also. But he suddenly went right to the top so he could get his millions and millions. So I think this is going to end up being a separate package. I think so. I think there are enough Democratic senators who agree and think that they've been jerked around by this president. So let's see what happens. So there was the other day a really fascinating exchange between Senator Hawley and the second or third biggest liar in Washington. You can get Mayorkas, who constantly tells us, oh, we got control of the border. You know, they set a record this year for the most apprehended and let in. And we apprehend them, we just let them in. We set a record for that. We also had more shootings and incidents attached to them or friends of theirs. That should be a matter of concern. And it is going to resolve itself in our getting control over this issue. And our means the Democrat Party. Democrat Party, I'm sure, would like to support something like that. And they just have their hands tied at this point. That become more public and see if they would be able to do something with it. So we have to really prevent that as best we can. There are so many strategies involved here. It makes you mind boggle when you think about all of them. And we've got to keep up with them. We have to know what's going on. So let's see if we have any more news that's fit to print but won't get printed. Like anything that helps the United States.
Of course, Mayor, we're reading the comment section. We're getting a lot of questions, comments on a very busy Wednesday evening. One question that's coming up is, how is it on some of these college campuses, including some of what we've been told are the best schools in the country, how pro-terrorist views are thriving on these campuses? How has that happened in this country?
It's happening very differently in different places. It's happening very peacefully in some. It's a cause of tremendous consternation in others, where parents are shut out. Of course, according to our Attorney General, they're among the worst organized criminals we face, parents who are concerned about their children. It's not playing out well. I mean, and we're becoming, in many respects, much more of a groupthink society rather than individual society. The group has to tell you what to think, otherwise you're ostracized. Whereas generally our operating principle that made us so great was we got to determine what was true, and then we tried to proselytize that. We tried to explain it. And if it were intelligent, at least we get a decent response. And if it wasn't, we'd be told that. And after a little bit of hurt, you'd go back to the drawing boards and worked on it. When you look at the students, they're just sitting there. They look like they're just marching time. It's terrible because you can never make up this education anywhere, anytime, in the future. But they're not taking it. Oh. Well, there seems to be a major shift going on within the Democratic Party, and that shift is taking place due to this dynamic. It seems as the removal of the speaker was engineered, and it was engineered in order to get to the result they got to, and now they don't know quite where they are. In Congress, a resolution passed the House overwhelmingly with 412 votes, and 9 left-wing Democrats voting against, and 6 present. So they all voted against or present, which means it didn't register a vote, and they won it by a nice number. They are not following the instructions of their leaders or their wise elected officials in not doing this, and this is something that's going to have to be dismantled.
Wow, that's just some of us have a hard time grasping and accepting, I think, Mayor.
Yep.
So, of course,
We'll probably hear more about this over the weekend because they've got to figure out how many people they can squeeze in there. And I don't think it'll be a lot.
That's right. And
I'm sneaking them in.
okay, you're sneaking in your balance of nature.
I'm sneaking in my veggies.
Not a bad time to just put them up now that we're doing
Pop
it.
your veggies.
A busy night like tonight.
Pop your.
We're Balance of Nature.
fruities.
And you can join us by visiting balanceofnature.com and use the promo code Rudy
Almost dropped it.
for 35% off your first order.
You know, I can actually taste a little fruit.
They sure
I
are.
know Rob did.
Yeah. Rob took one apart.
It's like candy.
And a busy night where the mayor is going to movie premieres and his radio show and fitting a lot of other things in between the evening show. This is partially how he keeps the energy and strength to get through another full day. That's Balance of Nature. So be sure to visit balanceofnature.com and use that
I almost
promo
got
code
one of these caught
Rudy.
in my throat, so you got to be careful not shoot them. There was a little 30-second little catching it in your throat. So a Balance of Nature makes up for the vegetables and fruits that you don't get to eat in your diet. And you know, a lot of the supplements that you seek in these different pills that you buy are naturally available to you in fruits and in vegetables, and it's the better way to get them. So this probably negates taking numerous pills, and at some point, if you take too many pills, you're going to choke. So even though some people think the price is a little heavy, which it is, getting what you can replace for it, it's actually quite reasonable. I mean, this is hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of supplements, and you'll get a 35% discount on this, which will make it very, very much in your range. And this is something worth trying. A lot of people are trying it and feel very, very energized by it. I do, and my friends do, and give it a try. Can't hurt. Give it a try.
That's
So
right.
let's talk a little politics now.
Let's do it.
And when we get to America, Mayor, we're going to give you a couple of our observations on Mar-a-Lago and places like that, because Ted's a good snooper. Ted was snooping around. It's hard for me to snoop because they know me.
Well, you get stopped every
And,
2 feet. Every single person, which is we're not complaining, but
believe me, I think Ted, that on this kind of thing, I don't have much of an ego.
no,
That I'm famous or that.
you're the most famous. When the president, of course, is the president, but when he's not there, you're the most.
I don't. If I do, it's really hidden from me.
Yeah.
I do have an ego about my intellect. I have an ego about my honesty. You know, I do.
Yes, I see it every day.
You see what happens when they question my honesty.
Oh yeah, I see it up close.
Yeah, I mean, they're lucky. They're lucky I'm a civilized man, or I was civilized by my father at one point, because I don't know now at my age, but I could have been any of these guys. It wouldn't even been a fight. I mean, it would have been like when I was back in Brooklyn. I would have said to something. You know, it's not worth fighting you. I did that a few times. One guy wanted to fight me, and I said, would you go get your big brother? He said, well, we're the same age. I said, yeah, but I always fight people 3 or 4 years older. It's better for me. I get more practice that way.
Hey, I mean,
This is all the fault of my father. My father taught me to box before I can remember. Now you say, how can you teach a kid to box before you remember? I'm going to film this for you. Maybe I can't film it with Grace. It's not right to do with a girl. Although when you look at Kara, who we saw tonight, Kara Casanova,
yeah,
she could probably not. I mean, I'm talking about fight. She probably knock me out. Champion.
She's a world champion boxer.
And I'm going to tell you, you know, like maybe 20, 30 years ago, she would have been able to knock me out. But I haven't boxed in 25 years.
Did you do it competitively?
Well, I did when I was very young, but then I did it for exercise.
So you were young. When did you when did you give it up? When did you hang up the gloves?
Yeah, pretty much around 15 or 16 when I really got seriously interested. There was a short little period of time when I thought maybe I could be a professional baseball player. And then I think it was my junior year or I was hitting like crazy. And then either the ball got a little faster or the curve got a little steeper. And Rudy became a good defensive player. He was known as a good defensive catcher. I could get a few hits. I could hit to the opposite field. I could scratch out hits, but the home run stopped when I was about 15. The long ball stopped when I was about 15. And the dream went away about that time. But the way my father would do it is he would sit in an armchair. And somehow he found one virtually the right height. And he kept changing it. And he put gloves on him and gloves on me. And I fought with him while he was sitting. So he would sit and he would put up his fist and he would show me, you know, first we'd hit the gloves. And then we spent the longest time, and I watched him train other boxers. They used to get angry at him. He said, well, when are we going to go to the hook and the right? He said, we're going to go to the hook and the right when you can jab. Because you can't fight without jabbing. I said, I could make you into a relatively decent fighter, even if you don't have a right hand or a hook. You're not going to be a champ, but you'll be able to. You'll be able to beat average fighters, and every once in a while, you may even surprise somebody who can't handle a jab. But if you don't have a jab, do something else because you're going to get ripped apart. The jab does so many things, right? The jab.
Show us a jab as opposed to a hook.
First of all, doing it slowly.
And what's a hook?
Hook is across like that. Now, the beauty of a hook is you can hook off the jab. So let's say I get you into a rhythm, right? I'm jabbing,
yep,
jabbing. If I find that you're trying to resist my jab too much,
doing one of these,
yeah, I know you got a problem with getting hit. You should be able to take a guy's jab. In fact, in order to really get in, you got to.
I should be able to take that jab.
Well, that's how you get in. You see, think about it this way. Every time my arm moves to hit you, I am open somewhere. Take advantage of it.
That's
so
a good way to put it. Yeah.
Boxing is a martial art. I mean, it really is an extraordinarily intelligent sport.
Yeah.
It requires, and unfortunately, a lot of people that went into boxing, except someone like every once in a while, a boxer, deadly, like Ali. I mean, half of Ali's greatness was his physical abilities. The other half of his greatness was his very smart mind, because he could think things out. But so a jab is the fundamental there. Okay, that's a jab. Now, while it's there, right? And let's say I protect myself this way.
Yeah.
It'd be hard to hit me here.
Yeah.
Well, where could you hit me? You could hit me down here. Yeah. You also could hit me here.
Well, where's your other hand? When you're jabbing, where's your?
If I'm like this, right?
Yeah.
And I'm protecting my face, it could be hard to hit me in the face.
Yes.
You could hit me in the body, but if I'm fast, I might be able to
block that too. Yeah.
Even block that too. But if I block that, I'm probably going to leave something open on the face. And you never mind leaving the top part of the face open. Like you're not going to knock somebody out hitting on the top of the head.
You're not?
On the top of the head?
Right here, above the breast.
You saw when I hit my head and I made a big sound and everybody thought I died. And I got up in a second and it was nothing.
Yeah.
I got a head like a rock. Most people do.
Yeah.
I mean, you hit up here.
Yeah.
You're not knocking anybody out unless they get scared physiologically.
You're not going to knock anyone. Okay.
Here's where you knock them out. Here, in the jaw.
Because it's
Right in the jaw. I'd
reverberates
like
through the head.
yeah, you felt it, didn't you?
Yeah.
Take your knuckle and hit your jaw and feel the brain.
Yeah.
You got it?
Yep.
One shot right there, down. This is not a boxing lesson. It was a boxing lesson yesterday in the Congress. Do we have the Holy Mayorkas heavyweight championship match?
Let me bring that up. Just give me a second.
Well, you keep working on that because this, we may have to go into
overtime, a couple minutes. We can do a couple extra minutes to show.
Yeah. We'll go into
Confidential.
Confidential, which is going to be our new show. Wait, you see. So I'm going to tell you the results of a poll. Meanwhile, because Ted likes polls, and I should have asked Dick Morris, who I saw just a little while ago. I should have asked Dick Morris what he thought of this poll, but and I don't know if I got this poll from the Wall Street Journal or the Post, but it comes from the Wall Street Journal, so I probably got it from the Wall Street Journal. Hey, Rudy, that was smart. You're getting like Biden now. This is a Wall Street Journal Ipsos poll, which means it's a branded poll,
Branded and relatively trustworthy for the most. I mean,
as trustworthy as all of them.
as the other ones, that's for sure.
Yeah. So here's what it shows, and it's a very, very dangerous. This is a very dangerous thing for the Democrat Party. And when they talk about all the divisions in my party, like this, and I want you to think about what it is, and I'm going to take a break, and when we come back, I can't hear all of you, but before I tell you, I want you to tell me what you think this poll is about. If it shows Democrat Party could really, really eat itself up. We'll be back for the eating.
Our device is something that you can plug into your television, and now you can use your television as a social television type experience. So in the Portal universe, you can watch your favorite content creators' videos, live streams, music. We also have TV subscriptions as well.
Subscriptions.
You can also
regular channels, all the sports.
Right, you can actually cut your cable from your cable subscription and get QUX TV on our QX TV boxes, and you can pay half the price that you're currently paying for your cable television subscription, and you can get all the best premium TV channels and more. I mean, it's really, there's so much on there, Rudy. I mean, you've seen it.
No, I've seen it and I use it, and it's good. I mean, it's just exactly the same except for half the price. Plus, nobody is finding out what I'm watching, and that's not being reported to anybody.
Right, so you have absolute privacy using this device, which you don't have on other devices out there currently on the market.
This is absolutely great. QUX.TV is how you can find out about it. QUX.TV.
Use promo code RUDY to receive $30 off.
New York.
All right, we're back. Sorry.
Checking signs of.
And we're back.
Yeah. Oh, there was a great story about New York that you may all want to hear. And I'm very proud of my New Yorkers. New Yorkers are going to battle for Israel. When these people take down the hostage signs, they stop them.
Yes.
It's happening. Now,
That's right. We saw that.
I wonder if Joey ignited that. Remember last weekend, Joey, my kind of guy? Right?
Oh, did we?
Sure.
Yeah. See if we got a confidential.
We got to find that one.
We have that. We played that.
You probably saw this. We did play it.
Yeah.
It's hard to hear completely. But I mean, it was a great one. We got to try to spruce that. That could be a movie.
Yeah.
Joey from Brooklyn.
Yeah. That made me very proud. I love that.
Maybe he could be the superhero. The Israeli superhero. But he's not Jewish.
No.
But I like that.
That was the point.
It reminded me of the neighborhood I grew up in. They talk about how would fight with the Italians, and the Italians would fight with the Jews, and the Jews would fight with whatever. And my neighborhood, we fought against other neighborhoods. So we did a little fighting, among ourselves, but it was all personal. It could be two Italians, it could be two Jews, it could be two Irishmen, it could be an Irishman and an Italian. It wasn't over ethnicity. It was over, you said something bad about somebody's mother. That started a big fight between me and my best friend because it was a joke. My class wanted me to play a joke on the new boy in class. It was 5th grade. And they had heard that Jimmy was a tough guy. And so I got assigned to do it because I could box. So they wanted me to say that his mother was the woman on the front of our monthly pagan magazine, which asked for money for the missionaries. And so the woman was rather heavy, and I said, "This is Jimmy's mother." Oh, Jimmy said, "You got to come outside with me. I don't take insults to my mother." And they warned him. They said, "Rudy really is very good." He said, "I'm sorry."
Yeah.
Well, we fought for maybe a half hour, and nobody really won. I was exhausted by the time it was over. Did you ever see the fight in The Quiet Man? I mean, it wasn't anything like that, but it was like that. It just went on. And I basically, I think if it was a boxing match, I would have beat him. I kept knocking him down, but he kept getting up. And when I fought with a guy like that, which was sort of like, I don't know, a fight that shouldn't take place except we were stupid kids, I never jumped on him so I waited for him to get up, and I was hoping he would just stay down there. Then he would get up again. And then sometimes, even though I thought it was over, then he hit me in the face. I had a big black eye after. Yeah. He had a big black eye. Finally, after some minutes, half hour, the nuns didn't see it because a lot of times the nuns would come and somebody would hang on until the nuns stopped the fight. They didn't want to have to lose. You get a draw that way. But, and then of course you get kept in, and the nuns would grab you both by the ear. And no matter who started the fight, you were both in trouble. I was just defending myself. Said, "I don't care. No fighting here." But it was why. There were rules about it. I eventually apologized to him for making fun of his mother. And then I met his mother. I became very close friends with the family. For years, I felt guilty making fun of his mother because his mother used to feed me all the time. And I used to tell her, I said, I'm not going to say the name, but Mrs., I'm sorry. She said, "You didn't even know who I was. What are you so guilty about?" She said, but Jimmy's father was so proud that Jimmy hung in there. He said, it's one thing to fight somebody that, you can beat up or if it's even another thing to fight somebody that's so much better you can't. But the real test is when you fight somebody virtually your ability and you can just hang in there. I said, your son's got more guts than anybody I have. I'm not going to fight with him again. I don't want to do this again. So that's why I became his friend. And I literally had won the fight.
You did?
Well, I won the fight in the sense that I never went down. He went down 3 times, but he never stayed down. By the 3rd time and a half hour later, exhausted, both of us decided, it might even be that we started laughing. How old are you in the 5th grade?
11 years old.
Yeah, I remember that. Madam Bryan.
You became friends.
Oh, the nun was my best nun. I loved her. She was a tomboy. And she played baseball with us. She used to play shortstop.
She'd play with the kids.
Yeah, but she'd be on our team. She'd play shortstop, and they had those long nun things. So she would sometimes catch the ball in her gown. She would love to do that. She'd catch the ball in her gown, and she used to throw it up and throw you out of first base.
Pop it up, catch it, throw it.
I loved her. So before we finish, I got to get you your news that you're not going to get someplace else. So the poll I was talking about, the big rift in the Democrat Party is over Israel. But it really is not over Israel, like how much should we give to Israel? How much should we support Israel? Should we put in ground troops? Shouldn't we put in ground troops? I would say, a very large percentage of Americans supports Israel. The level of support may change a little to full and complete support to support. These people not only don't support Israel in the democracy of Israel, they are dedicated quite openly to the destruction of Israel. And I don't know what percentage of the party they make up. It's not a majority, but they do make up a very vocal part of the congressional delegation. And they're adding people. And it does seem from the demonstrations that they have a lot of young people. Now, the demonstrations could be a little bit distorted by the fact that that's what you come out and demonstrate for. Yeah. And very, very strong Zionists or somebody like you and me who feels very strongly about Israel, we might demonstrate. But the average person that feels strongly about Israel is not a demonstrator. They're just a regular person who works. And this is what the poll reflects. But it does reflect one thing. The party of Israel is Republican. And what Democrats are weird. I mean, what Jews are doing voting Democrats kind of weird, because this poll has the good news is a majority of Americans support Israel, except not a majority of Democrats. I would say a plurality of Democrats support it. 48% of Democrats support Israel. I would say that's a plurality. And then you got a lot of undecideds, and then you have the people who hate Israel. 53% of independents support Israel.
Yeah, that's right.
How about 60? It's either 64 of Republicans support Israel. Now, that's a huge number. That's 2/3 of the party. I don't know if we agree on anything else that much.
Right?
Probably lowering taxes.
Yeah. Even that issue, right? Mayor, does it concern you though that it seems like the left
and I bet I would love to get this whole poll. Okay. I bet if you look at that 64 or 69, right? Yeah. I bet those who don't support Israel is much softer than the don't support on the Democrat side. I guess the same thing is true. I'm going to guess the same thing is true with the independents, because I think the Democrats that don't support Israel just don't support Israel. They hate Israel. I think the Republicans that don't support Israel just don't support it. They want to see Israel destroyed. And a lot of them could be isolationists. They don't support anybody.
That's right.
So this is a very dangerous thing. The Democratic Party and the Jewish people have been, like one in many ways. It has been fracturing. I got a big majority of the Jewish vote.
That's right. And I wanted to talk about that, spend a minute or two on that, Mayor. Obviously New York is home to more Jews than Tel Aviv and Jerusalem combined.
Well, first of all, Jewish people are among the most discerning voters. And I read a book when I was running for mayor that every Republican that wins in New York wins with the Jewish vote by flipping enough of it to win, because the Jewish vote will be drawn away from the Pavlovian Democrat response, particularly over corruption. Even more crime turns their stomach. And it goes back to, they voted for LaGuardia, but he was half Jewish. Mm-hmm. But the first time he ran, it didn't do any good. He only got 16% of the vote. Yeah. But when it turned out that Walker was a crook, they all went to LaGuardia. They went to John Lindsay, as a Republican, because the city was bankrupt.
Okay.
The city was literally bankrupt. They had no choice, and they went to me because the city had more murders than most of the wars we were in. I mean, we averaged in the Dinkin years 2,000 murders a year. This year we'll have 500 to 600, and it's a bad year. So, I mean, it was I came in because it was a disaster, and that, not to mention the fact that we had 10% unemployment. We had lost about 400,000 1,000 people saying New York was over. We were in desperation. And the vote that will flip the fastest and be the most bipartisan is the Jewish vote. Ronald Reagan, his first time, got a big percentage of the Jewish vote. Helped him win New York. Something percent of the Jewish vote.
That's right.
And he won New York, the last Republican to win New York.
Yeah. That's right.
So it's an interesting vote. It's limited. There aren't that many Jewish people, but it's quite influential. And you're Jewish and you're not someone who cares about Israel. And there are Jewish people that don't. Yeah. There are. I don't just mean the Orthodox way out sects. I mean just people that don't care about Israel or disagree with Israel.
That's right.
But if you are someone who cares about the maintenance of the Jewish state, you're going to vote Republican. I think this time you're going to see a big change, and this poll has been flipping in that direction for about a year now. So this is our first. I think, right?
Yeah.
Can I say?
Not. I don't. We'll confirm that.
We'll confirm it.
We don't
we'll tell you our
take
special.
day, yeah.
I'll tell you our special news tomorrow. And we can have over the next 3 weeks. We have a lot of special news
because a lot of
changes are taking place, but good ones. You get more coverage and you get more of the information you need that's being kept from you. So you have a great evening. You say a prayer for the people of Israel. You say a prayer for the United States. You say a prayer of thanksgiving for being an American. See you tomorrow. God bless America. Our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas